This is an ad by BetterHelp. What's your perfect night? Is it curling up on the couch for a cozy, peaceful night in? Therapy can feel a bit like that, your comfort place where you replenish your energy. With BetterHelp, get matched with a therapist based on your needs entirely online. It's convenient and suited to your schedule. Find comfort this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
Welcome to the Real Chat Podcast,
where we talk business, lifestyle, and mindset.
For the modern entrepreneur.
I'm Baxter Colburn.
I'm Allyson Elise.
I'm Mandi Wilkie. Let's chat. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Chat Podcast. I guess the other day I said welcome back, and maybe you're a new listener. Maybe you've watched a few, listened to a few podcasts, but we are back after a little break. One of us was on a vacation.
Jealous.
Not really, a working vacation.
It was a working vacation. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can go away on a vacation and get paid to do it.
That's the goal, isn't
That's
that? That's the dream, I think, right? She's like, yeah, it was pretty nice.
And now you're going back?
Yeah, I was in St. Lucia for like 5 days, and it was dreamy. I mean, the wedding was perfect. The weather was perfect.
It looked gorgeous.
My husband got to come along. It was great.
Your outfits were perfect except for day 3 where you forgot your one cover-up.
Yeah, well, I was actually supposed to wear that on the catamaran.
Ooh.
Because it's like such a vibe.
It is
and
a vibe.
I was packing, and you know, like when you get nervous about packing and you take everything out because you're like, I don't really need this.
Yes.
And then you get to your destination and you're like, what the heck was I thinking?
Right.
That's what I did with like 2 pieces. I took it out, and for some reason I hung it up and put it in my closet, and then I completely forgot about it. And then I was like, oh, my suitcase is full, so I must have everything. And then we went to Quick Trip, and I realized, like, on our way to Chicago, well, I realized I was standing in the Quick Trip, like, well, the line where whatever. And honestly, I was like, I forgot the one dress that was like the only thing I cared about for that trip when it came to like not having to worry about my workwear or like my job. Like, it was the only outfit that I really cared about, and I forgot it. But I'm going to the Cayman Islands in 2 weeks, so I'm bringing it to that.
There we go.
Now she won't
I'm
have the
shooting
same
another
outfit.
wedding.
First item in the bag, right?
So was that something that was always planned? The second wedding?
Yeah.
That
you had
was?
2,
Oh, you did. You had 2 back to back.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 back to back. Yep. This one is going to be a little bit different though. Like, they're cliff diving. We're doing like mini sessions with their families and stuff like that. And then, the bride and groom are jumping in the water right after they say their vows.
Oh,
which
I
is
love
going to
that.
be, it's going to be much more like adventure. And this like adventure based, like elopement style. The wedding that I shot in St. Lucia was a resort. Like, it was an all-inclusive resort.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they
wedding.
go to the destination weddings, most people hire the photographer that's there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was just one of the lucky people that got to go and hang out with the group, and they were amazing. And both of my clients are just absolutely phenomenal people. So I feel like I'm really, really lucky. And maybe starting
amazing.
a little trend here.
Let's say a travel.
Because that would be dream come true.
Take me with
You know, if it
you.
ever happens for me, I'll keep that in mind. Destination.
I'm your girl.
Destination.
I would love to. Document your life, be your friend, document your life the way it looks through my lens, and just...
Yeah. Well, and even sweeter when you kind of know a little bit about the people.
Absolutely.
Right? You kind of know. It's not just this random person that hired you, but you actually know them. You know a little bit about them. You can story tell that much better.
Yeah. I mean, this couple that we went to St. Lucia with, Zach was invited early on. She was like, bring Zach with you. It's a couple's all-inclusive resort. Like, I'm not going to make you come by yourself.
Yep.
So he got a little vacation out of it, and we were honestly like, we meshed with their group so well. There was 38 people that went.
Wow.
And we all, like, it was the biggest wedding that they had at this resort, and they were all so great. And we just like got dinner reservations with them and everything. And I know the bride pretty well. And then the one in the Cayman Islands, I actually grew up with her and went to high school with her.
Oh, wow.
Love that.
So yeah, so we
Full circle.
lost touch for a while, but then she reached out to me via email, and she's like, I've followed you for years. I love your work. Would this even be a possibility? I figured, why not ask? I'm like, before I even read, I mean, it says in my submission on my website what you want me to do. Like, what is your idea for your wedding day? And it's literally like Cayman Islands. I see the sea, and I'm like, yep. Check
Whatever
mark. I already
on my way.
I already booked my or I already put it in my calendar. To,
love that.
Whatever.
In your big ass calendar?
I did not get the big ass calendar.
I
that
haven't.
thing is
I've
huge.
finally seen it. Did it arrive finally?
I saw that.
I've seen it
I've seen
officially.
people on social media with it. I'm like, that is humongous. I don't know where I would put that.
I am going to hang
on this wall here.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to hang it up
Clearly.
in the bedroom just because then we'll both see it.
Yeah.
We'll both hold ourselves accountable to it.
Is that going to be distracting though?
No, because if it's out of sight, then it's out of mind.
But it's not. You're going to go to sleep and you're going to
bedroom.
The intention is to see it on a daily basis. And then I'm super excited because we went ice skating at the Howard Commons.
Oh, yeah.
First time.
How was that?
It was so amazing. But that is the new adventure on the big ass calendar. I get to write something different than we had done. And do you know what? Another one I'm going to add? I've never been to the Milwaukee Public Market.
Oh, it's so cool
And
there.
I
love it.
had a couple meetings this week about the Green Bay Public Market.
That's exciting.
Yes. Ooh. So I was like, all this talk about the public market. I'm like, I really want to experience it. So that's going on the big ass calendar.
I love
it. It doesn't have to be work.
Going to the
a
Cayman
destination
Islands.
wedding. Yeah. I mean, it can be.
It could be. It's still
But
early.
2025.
But sometimes, also we put Navarino on there because I've never been with the kids doing that. But, I mean, we need snow. So for that, but it's just having those little things. So you, at the end of the year, you can see all the mini adventures that you took, but
Definitely.
if you can't see it, you don't do it. Sidetracked there.
No, that makes sense. I just did my, not to bring it out, I just did my taxes over the weekend, and part of it is tracking my mileage. But because of that, though, I went back through and looked at my calendar for last year, and I was looking at it with Rachel, and I'm like, we did so much from April to July of last year. Like that specific block was insane personally and professionally. Obviously, you threw a wedding in there.
Just, gosh, that's
wedding
why
was
does
in
it feel like you guys have been
June.
married so long?
It does feel like that. Yeah. I mean, baby will be here in about 2 months as well. So
maybe
like
because
that
you've
kind
more
of
accomplished in a year in that
Maybe.
personal side of things than I have in 5.
You said I wasn't allowed to lap you. You said if Rachel and I got pregnant, then you and Shane were gonna have a conversation. And
well, we're not having any babies.
No, but to at least get down to the marriage. So
you know what? Good things come to those who wait.
Fine. You're doing great.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And it ain't broke.
No.
So we're not fixing it.
Keep
We're
rolling.
good.
Keep rolling, right?
Yeah.
But that reminded me though of how much we do in our professions, and not only in a year, but that, like I said, that was a 3 or 4 month scope of things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, that was really a turning point in my business, but life in general, that had just exploded for 4 or 5 months, and it kind of carried on to the rest of the year. But you talk about how many different things you do in a year that you forget about. I looked at half the things, I'm like, oh, we did that. Oh, we did that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Totally.
That is what the calendar is for. I'm telling you. That's why putting it up there so you can see it and say, check it off the list. The other thing it does is it puts in perspective,
Listen up, folks. Time could be running out to lock in a historic yield at Public.com. As of September 23rd, 2024, you can lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account. But here's the thing. The Federal Reserve just announced a big rate cut, and the plan is for more rate cuts this year and in 2025 as well. That's good news if you're looking to buy a home, but it might not be so good for the interest you earn on your cash. So, if you want to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high yield and investment-grade bonds, you might want to act fast. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at Public.com. And once you lock in your yield, you can earn regular interest payments even as rates decline. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at Public.com. But hurry, your yield is not locked in until you invest. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit Public.com/disclosures for more info.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
we are 2 months into the year, a month and a half into the year. We've lost a month and a half out of 12 months already.
It's true.
So if we're not being intentional with our time, what's getting done?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was making Easter plans yesterday already.
Yes.
I'm we got a month and a half away, but I'm that's literally next month.
Can I throw an event together for the neyborhood for an Easter egg hunt? And then do I have to have an indoor plan? Because it is March in Wisconsin.
Yeah, March 31st, last day. So I'm it kind of feels like April light if it's March 31st, but at the same time, making Easter plans already,
It's crazy.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Time flies.
Yeah.
I don't get to go anywhere fancy, but I do know that I get to go to Tennessee at some point this year to shoot a cabin in the woods in the old Smoky Mountains.
fun.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Do you
Love
need a couple
that.
plans?
I can have up to 10
flannels?
people join, so depending on your
Perfect.
calendars,
Let's go.
I might get an invite. So.
We could podcast it.
I think we
Is
should
it
do a
right
live
now?
show.
Kids included?
Potentially. I don't know. They don't have to be if you don't want them to be. Depends on how you want me to answer that question. Like,
Just curious if I have to find a babysitter.
right, exactly.
Like,
I feel like I'm constantly looking for somebody to watch my kid.
It's true.
I'm always like, no,
Well,
I have
Raleigh
full-time
can stay and
childcare
they
now.
can watch
So
the
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and then
no,
we
there you
can
go.
all do a live
Although
podcast.
she's getting to the
from
age
there.
where she's like, can I do the adult thing?
That's
And
true.
she's
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Totally.
had so much fun on the podcast.
We
She
loved
did so
having her.
good.
Yeah,
I
it
really,
was fun.
I thought it was a fun episode to go back and listen to and watch. And I feel like obviously we experience it, but then when I go through and I do the editing, right, like you pick up on pieces that maybe you missed
Yeah.
in a moment, right? And like,
Yeah.
I think it's really telling, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but I love the way that you look at your daughter, and I love the way that she looks at you, because I think that says a lot about your relationship, right? I
Yeah.
think that talks a lot about like your ups and downs, but like you can tell a lot by the way a person looks at another person, especially if they're related or married or any of that. Like,
Definitely.
it sends a lot of messages, and the way that she would look at you and the way that like you always just looked so proud, even if she was literally talking about just little things, and you were just like the look you had on your face looking at her, and I was like, this is a mom that's just beaming right now, being so happy.
Listen, we talked about this on the podcast. Like if you had asked me 6 years ago if I thought I'd be that mom, the answer probably would have been no. But it's so funny because even since then, and I'll just go off on this tangent because I feel like we can for this episode.
Yeah.
So I have the daughter that's the non-entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I have an 18-year-old son
Yes.
who recently got his car sales license
I saw that.
for George. Did you see his little TikTok?
did, yeah, I loved it.
Or reel, whatever. Yeah, he's going to make me famous with his dance moves. But he got his license, and he's one of the youngest in the state of Wisconsin to get that. And he's sold like 6 or 7 cars already in just a couple of weeks, right? He just got the license. And it's funny because if you would have asked me a few years ago if I would have thought he would have the entrepreneurial spirit, and don't get me wrong, he's working for somebody, but the sales side of it,
That's a whole nother,
it's kind of fun. And he's watching and devouring all of these videos, right? Especially in the car industry. And one of the videos he was watching the other day, he's like, okay, let's role play this, which I think is great in itself because I coach 11 people and to get any of them to role play with me is almost impossible. And I don't like to do it at my age, but my 18-year-old son will do it.
Yeah.
And the video was this. So when someone walks into the dealership now, he says, hey, are you here for sales or service? And if they say service, he's like, great, let me walk you on back and connect you with who's back there.
Yeah.
If they're there for sales, he says, great. Are you looking for someone in particular or do I have the pleasure of serving you today? And that's my 18-year-old
Yeah,
kid.
that's
And I'm
awesome.
Like, shit, like I should take some notes.
That's great. I know. I was like,
Right?
oh,
Yeah.
write that down
But
too.
to think at his age, I mean, I've always had the sales side in my blood.
Yeah.
But to be selling a car at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 when you're 18 years old, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's a big deal.
That's really cool.
Anyway,
Good for
so
him.
if we ever want to have him on the podcast from the opposite side of the spectrum.
Seriously, yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry I got off on that tangent.
No,
but,
you're good.
That's
but
really
he's
cool.
gone from in a very short time. He's gone from I don't know about this kid to wow, I don't know about this kid, right? Like, but boys, I don't know what it is. It was like for him, it was a switch. It just flipped. The light switch just went on, and he got it. Raleigh, I could see it coming for years and progressing. Gavin just woke up one day and he was like, "This is what I want to do," and dialed
Then
up.
he went for it and he did it and he
I mean,
got
he's still
it.
going to school too. He's in high school. He's a senior.
Right. Yeah.
So he's going to school till noon, and then he goes and works at the dealership from 1 to 7 and every Saturday. And he's not once said, "I don't want to go into work today."
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that there is a switch, like for guys though, right? Like there are some of those that like have to do like the self-help books and all that stuff, right? But like it is that moment where you wake up one morning and you're like, all right, today's the day. And like, honestly, half the time you have no control over it.
Sure.
Like as a guy, I've learned like some days it's like, yep, like here we go. Like ready to go. That's how I felt with my business too. At times I was like, maybe. And I'm like, yep, we're in, we're all going. Like, I don't know what it's going to be. We're going to figure it out. Here we go. And I'm just like, oh, all right, cool. That's kind of how it goes. But I don't know. There's a difference I feel like between like girls. It seems like, but girls in general, I feel like are more like you plan a lot more out. Like that's
You're
just
almost
kind of
coaching
your
them along the
nature.
way, right?
Correct. Where boys, it's like, well, we'll see,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we're here.
Where I feel like he showed up for the game. I've been coaching him all these years, and then he just decided today's the game day.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we're playing.
Yeah, we're opposite of Raleigh. But yeah, so it's cool to see him in his element and to go into the dealership and have people say to me, like, he's a really sharp kid.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like,
I feel like sometimes like men or boys are like, they're very like in the moment, and girls are a little bit more dreamers. Like they think about the future constantly. We're always thinking about what's next, or you know, what's in the plans for us or whatever. And guys are a little bit more like in the real time now, like what's going on now for me.
Right.
You know?
And I think anybody that tells you entrepreneurship, there's not a money element to it, is lying, right?
Yeah.
We're all in our industries to earn.
Correct.
But
Totally,
I think watching the kids, Raleigh has a heart to serve.
Yeah.
Gavin has a heart to earn.
Sure.
He's money driven. She's servant heart. And I'm like, oh, they both have a little bit of me in them.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
But that it's just interesting to see how that all evolves.
And if you can marry those two together, that's a really powerful combination, right? Like I think that I commended, I forget which one of my children, I think it was my younger one the other day, about going out of his, it was Beckham, I think, went out of his way to help his younger brother, like serving in a positive way. And I was like, that servant leadership is so important. And like, if you can make sure, like, there was no agenda, which there usually is at times with him, about like, oh, I'm going to do this because I want this. Like, he went out of his way to do something. And I made sure to commend him on that. I'm like, that was very good servant leadership in that moment. Like, you took the time to lead and to guide and really go out of your way to help. And I think that we don't always commend boys on that or guys on that at times because like we always get a bad rap. Oh, they're just hustling. They're just out for them. They're out doing their thing, right? Like,
or you don't want them to be soft or too sentimental. They have to be strong.
Too emotional.
That was honestly, that was always, I feel like, either whether it was a personal or an external criticism against myself, right? Like, I'm not a man's man. I never will be. That's just not how I am. But I'm like, but I'm not like soft, but I'm like, I know how to work hard. And I joked with Rachel about this because anytime her dad comes over to like help us with stuff around the house, like he almost unintentionally asks like if I have a tool, like, do you have a hammer? Do you have this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he purposely thinks I'm useless, but like he is a man's man, like hunter, fisher, can build a house with his two hands. Like that's what he does. And that's fantastic. So the fact that his daughter married somebody completely opposite of that just makes me laugh, right? Because Rachel was like, yeah, like probably somebody similar to my dad, right? Like someone that can take care of the family and do the things. And I'm like,
build the things.
I'm a great listener and I am happy to help and I will love you. Right?
You'll make the phone call to have someone do it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah. But that's one thing my parents instilled in me, though. They were like, don't be afraid to do the work. And I'm like, I might not know how to change the light bulb or do the thing, right? But I'm like, if you can teach me once, like I'm happy to then do it. I will ask the questions. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I will hold the fixture.
Correct. He was over helping us do stuff with some plumbing, and I was like, no idea what to do, but I'm like, just tell me where to go and what to do. So, and he was like, great, and it was very helpful in that moment.
Take that direction.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But it always makes me laugh when people, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be that big manly guy, but I'm like, I can do all of the things, and boys get that bad rap sometimes. Like being a servant leader is not a bad thing. Like, and I think I've told this to both of you, right? Like in business, I care more about the relationship and being kind to people than I do about the transaction, right? Like I had a meeting this morning that is someone that has been a friend of mine for years, and I've helped serve her in multiple professional areas, and then it kind of went away. And now a year later, she's come back and she's like, hey, I'm in a whole new thing now. Yeah. And now I need you again. Like, and she's like, I thought it was literally nobody else except you because of our relationship and everything. And I was like, fantastic.
So
like,
cool.
Let's go and let's start doing it and building this next piece, you know, on our friendship and our professional relationship too, which is so cool when those things can kind of get tied together throughout the longevity of it, right?
Merge, yeah.
Goes back to something we were talking about before we were on air about your character.
Yes.
And the whole picture of your character.
Correct, yeah.
So we were talking about different topics to throw around and talk about today, and one of the little chats that came up was a little glimpse into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Tuesday.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. 2
days ago was Super Bowl Sunday. You can hate me if you want. I'm a Travis Kelce fan. I'm a Jason Kelce fan. I'm a Kylie Kelce fan. I'm a Taylor Swift fan.
I was just going to say.
I was a Taylor Swift fan before Travis Kelce and her, but I have really grown to, I've watched his documentaries. I've watched his mess ups in college. I've watched his high school. So I've watched some things. So I feel like I'm a good judge of this guy's character, right? And I really respect him. And then there was a glimpse. It's like a 12-second glimpse where he was pretty hot-headed on the sidelines of a pretty intense game. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
To his coach.
A high stress, all the things.
Super Bowl, that's what you work all year for,
but
right?
To his coach, from my perspective, he was extremely disrespectful.
Correct.
And all eyes were on him. And I was like, dang it.
Like, I can't like him anymore.
Like him like I liked him. Like, that's not okay. That's not
you
okay.
shouldn't treat somebody that way, right? Yeah.
And so I was like, I was having a tough time sitting with it, right? Even when they won, I was like, dang it. Like, I wanted them to win, but I was like mad at him, right? And then it was yesterday that a blurb came out that someone wrote from the coach's perspective, and he addressed it.
Yep.
Because nationally, we took this tiny little glimpse of this guy that I really started to be impressed with over the course of probably a year or two. And this tiny little glimpse, and I was frustrated with him, so it all was gone like that. And then the coach said, what nobody understood is, number one, his emotional state, the pressure that he was under, what I've given my guys permission to do and not do, that kind of thing. But then also nobody said that after he took a step back, took a deep breath, calmed down, he came back over and he gave him a big hug and said, sorry for yelling at you like that. But none of us saw that, right? And I think that's what, we were talking about in our businesses, in our lives, in our relationships. People that don't know us or that think they know us maybe see us respond to a situation. They don't know what kind of day we've had. They don't know what moment we've had. We maybe aren't the best version of ourselves, and we respond. We can't change it. We can't take it back. I mean, luckily for me, 50,000 million people weren't watching. However many people were watching, and it's not like as a meme now and on TikTok and all of the things. But talk to me about moments where you've maybe responded in a way you wish you could change. And that one moment was the only chance you got to show your relationship to somebody.
I would say I haven't thankfully had many in business. I would
have
say
a list.
Personally, I don't know if I've been in a spot. I've been frustrated and I've been emotional at times in business, but I think the people that I work with on a consistent basis, and I know that we've talked about some of them that have been frustrating or confusing as to why things happen the way that they are. I've learned that the more emotion that you exude out, the worse the situation can be. And
100%.
I've tried my best to take a step back proactively and say, if someone says something or acts a certain way, for me to then be like, okay, like before I even shoot back, and this is something I learned from the divorce process as well, right? Like you're high emotional state, you're saying things on both sides that you really wish you could take back at times, right? Like, and that was a big piece for me where I was like, okay, like I don't feel like I was treated fairly in this moment. Like, what's a professional yet stand my ground, but don't want to come off rude or disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know, right? Like that person could come back to you in 8 months and be like, hey, like my bad, sorry that happened that way. Like, can we still work together?
Right.
So trying to preserve that as best as I can. And there are definitely people where I'm like, yep, this is not a good fit.
Yeah.
Like, best of luck. Have a nice life. Hope you find the right person. So that kindness aspect, or that even that respect of like, even if I don't feel like I fully respect you, I want to respect my business and your business and say, hey, like, let's back up a little bit. I'm going to be careful on how I approach you because I don't want to say something that's going to tarnish me or tarnish your business in theory, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the hard piece about it. Personally, yes, that happens all the time, and you just spout stuff off you're not supposed to, right? But I've learned even in that to like, okay, hold on a second before I just throw a dagger back. And I've never really been that type of person to be like, ooh, you zinged me, I'm going to zing you back. Now, if it's me with some of my guy friends that I know it's a safe space and that's what you guys do is they kind of throw daggers at each other for fun and no one's like taking it personal, that's different. But business-wise, like I've always been like, ooh, that hurt, but I'm going to wait a second and now how can I respond back, right?
Not react emotionally too quickly either.
What about
business?
Yeah, what about you, Allie?
I would say, honestly, in business, I don't have a ton of times where I can pinpoint these moments where I felt like there has been anything taken out of context in like a really negative way. Something I take a lot of pride in is how I conduct communication to my potential clients, to past clients. Always taking responsibility for anything that happens, good or bad, in my business, because if somebody feels a certain way, I hope to the Lord that they feel comfortable enough to approach me about it.
Yeah, same here.
I try to establish that sense of relationship at the very beginning of my relationship professionally with anyone. That communication is key, and that if I'm struggling or if I'm going through something, that I owe that to you to tell you those things.
Right.
And I am very proactive about that. So I feel like in business, I've never really had a huge moment where I just feel like this was taken out of context and now our relationship is ruined and take this with what you want. But I go back to the basics of the customer is always right in my business. And I think that they're entitled to feel a certain way. My hope is that I establish a relationship with them that doesn't actually feel like they ever have to, feel like we're not on the equal basis of being able to communicate with each other.
Together, you at least
respect each other. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I know we tackled a few different things today. We didn't have one topic agenda, but sometimes we also know that as we're getting into this a little bit, and if you're watching us, you're getting to know us each a little bit more. Yeah. And one of our goals for this is to be real and stay authentic. So sometimes just having authentic conversations is a joy for us too.
Yeah.
So we love that you joined us today. Baxter, do you want to tell them where they can get their podcast? And please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Also, we're looking for topics that you want to hear more about. So if you want to throw us some topic ideas, we would love to tackle them if we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. We would love to have you continue to follow us and subscribe. Our show is on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Those are the two big ones. Our analytics tell us that Apple Podcasts is the big one. So if you're on our profile, if you can leave us a review or a 5-star rating, that would be awesome. That only helps continue to push our show out to more people. We're in that business and entrepreneur category on both platforms, so we can show up as recommended podcasts to have new audiences check us out.
Yes.
So that only makes our reach and our growth even better. So we appreciate those that have already done that, and hopefully more can continue to do so.
Yeah. We always love hearing from you.
Absolutely.
We do. Thanks so much for watching, listening, and being a part of our podcast today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Heads up, folks. Interest rates are falling. But as of September 23rd, 2024, you can still lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. That's a pretty big deal, because when rates drop, so can the interest you earn on your cash. A bond account allows you to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high-yield and investment-grade corporate bonds. So while other people are watching their returns shrink, you can sit back with regular interest payments. But you might want to act fast, because your yield is not locked in until you invest. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account, only at public.com. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.